I'm Dr. Peggy Symington, and I'm going to talk about mentor text. And what mentor text is it's when a teacher or someone else uses a really high quality book to exemplify a writing focus to help students become better writers. So it's connecting reading and writing, and generally we focus on teaching something like one of the 6 traits of writing, which includes ideas, organization, voice, sentence fluency, word choice, and conventions, or the mechanics of writing. And so we can point out those features as we select quality texts that sort of align with that teaching writing focus. And so I'm going to give some examples of mentor text. Remember, it takes a lot of scaffolding. We can't just read it and expect them to get it by osmosis. So we need to point things out, think aloud about text as we read it to and with students. We need to provide multiple examples, not just one author. One type of writing, like voice, can be exemplified in different ways. We all have a different voice or perspective. So some examples are Margaret Wise Brown, The Important Book. Students can hear it, and then teachers can provide the scaffold of a sentence frame, like the important thing about blank is blank, and students can imitate this structure in the book. So The Important Book is popular as an example of mentor text that's used in the primary grades. For upper grades, I really like this book, The Skin I'm In by Sharon Flake. It teaches quite a bit about voice. The main character, Malika, has a very strong voice, and you can talk a lot about why and how the author represents Malika's voice in this novel. It's definitely probably more for middle school. I love this book. For teaching metaphor writing, Hailstones and Halibut Bones is a classic. It's been reprinted several times, and they're color poems, so students could easily imitate or try to mimic this type of metaphorical and symbolic writing in this book. And so I highly recommend this one for teaching metaphor or figurative language, which is in our state teaching standards. This is one of my personal favorites. It's The House on Mango Street. I like this because it teaches the genre of vignette writing. And a vignette is a very short slice of life. It's selecting something very meaningful for you in your life and writing it up in a fairly short way. The author too picks topics relevant to her and brings in her culture, gender, and other things. So it's really complex and really rich language as well. So it's a good mentor text, probably for older students. And memoir writing, again going back to personal narrative. Cynthia Rylance, The Relatives Came and When I Was Young in the Mountains are good examples of drawing on your own life experiences to write. She writes in very detailed ways as well, with humor. I love Carmen Lomas Garza. She's a Texas writer from Kingsville. She's an artist as well. Again, going back to the idea of the vignette or short personal narrative. She illustrates her scenes as well, very detailed. I used to have my students look at the books with magnifying glasses so they could really zoom in, and we can do that too with language, really zoom in close and pay attention to how the author uses words. And finally, if you're doing a genre that sort of crosses over into nonfiction, historical fiction is great. This is Uncle Jed's Barbershop about the Great Depression and surviving it. It's just a personal triumph tale. I really like it. It's well loved, so I recommend it as well for mentor text for historical fiction, which can be a tricky genre for students to really grasp that it's based on truth, but it's a fiction story. I didn't really talk about expository text or nonfiction, but a good reference for that is Nonfiction Craft Lessons by Fletcher and Portaluppi, and there are many instances and great examples of connecting reading and writing with nonfiction text. And as a follow-up video, I'll talk about nonfiction examples of mentor text. So I hope you can pick a great topic to teach writing, and I hope that you can also select some really good mentor texts to exemplify and be explicit about that teaching focus with your students.